How would you like to create impact with authentic leadership? Camilla Calberg will tell us how. And what's so special about Camilla is she's the founder of She Leads, Superhuman Leading, the Authentic Leadership Movement, and Camilla Calberg International. And she brings more than 20 years of corporate experience, having led global transformation projects for Fortune 500 companies, including BP, Shell, and IBM. And coaching over 500 women worldwide, Camilla discovered a shared challenge. Many brilliant leaders still dim their light in rooms with big egos, and through her work, she helps women regulate their emotions, own their worth, and lead with calm, confidence, and joy. So, my first question is, how can entrepreneurs create impact with authentic leadership in rooms with big egos?
Heal Podcast with Lily Patrascu shares longevity and anti-aging techniques to stay young forever, increase energy, overcome addiction, and live your longest, best life ever, shared by world's most innovative, alternative, and traditional health thought leaders, healers, and doctors. Discover quantum healing strategies to heal your mind, body, and soul.
I love that question, Lillian. Thanks for having me. Maybe we double down on that of being authentic, because most of us are not authentic at the workplace. We wear masks, and when we wear masks, we wear it because we're afraid of not being liked, not being seen, and then we also conform. But what happens when we allow ourselves to just be fully present in that room to serve and just be us, then what happens, maybe you can even feel it in your shoulders, you relax and you ask higher questions. And that is the power of being an authentic entrepreneur, leader, service-minded individual, is really to tap into being just you to help other people succeed.
Thank you. What does that look like? What does being an authentic leader look like? Because I think that we wear masks because we want to conform, we want to integrate, we want to be accepted, we want to feel like we are loved, our work is appreciated, and also we get promoted. I guess if you're in the corporate, you want to get promoted, you want to be liked, you want to be like, a team player, you want to be part of the culture of that particular business. So how does someone show up authentically without looking like they're just like having their own agenda?
Oh, this is so good. And there's so many different notches you put down here. When we are authentic, we come from our higher self. And when we come from our higher self, we come for the purpose to serve. And we have the transformational mindset. If I'm here with my own agenda, I would be coming from ego. There's two very different poles or dimensions. And there's something you mentioned that I want to double down on, what it looks like to be authentic. If we are in the room to be liked, we don't serve. You should never be in the room to be liked, because then you don't ask the boldest questions out of fear. It's really the wrong way to do leadership and your career, be in the room to be liked. You should be in that room to serve the biggest or solve the biggest problems, and dare to ask questions that get people to really pause and be curious about where they're stepping on their own toes and where they're sabotaging their own success. There's two very different poles and lenses to look from when we talk about career, promotion, and creating impact.
Thank you. I find that a lot of people that I know are not at all concerned with authentic leadership. They prefer to just literally have their own agenda. So what is the benefit of someone being an authentic leader and serving other people? How can they still progress in terms of career promotions, in terms of achieving their personal income goals and financial goals? And how can they become an active contributor of the team if actually a lot of people don't even see why they should be an authentic leader, because they just see it like they only see their side of the story, like how they can personally benefit, who they can take whatever they can from, who they can take as many introductions from without giving anything in return, who they can not necessarily scam, but definitely, take advantage of in terms of, people who are empaths like us, who they can do deals with and not keep their word. So why should someone who is like that, why should they consider becoming an authentic leader, and how can they win over the long term?
This is so good. And there's so many things. Okay, so help me steer in this conversation. There are some downloads here. There are 4 levels of leadership. The lowest level is transactional oriented, the ego. I go in to serve and I trade in my hours for money. It's me. And that's where most leaders are. And what happens, Mablu, you know that, and your listeners, a 2x mindset versus a 10x mindset. 2x is incremental growth, right? And we work and work and work. And I've been there most of my career. So happy clocking 60 hours in 4 days. But you're also trading your life in for short-term success. When we want to create more impact, have a purpose in life that is bigger than just me, then what you want to do is to let go of the ego and really be in that room to set other people up for success. And the only way you can set other people up for success is to actually let go of ego. Let go of it's all about me being right and leading a conversation to a not resolution, but a result. But really being in this conversation to listen to what is not said, what is said, and what people really, really want. And that is the difference between a transactional-oriented leader and a service-minded transformational leader. And you cannot go in with ego and be authentic at the same time, because ego is protecting you want to be right. Being authentic is also to see what is that soul in the room. I see you're frustrated right now. I care about you. Why are you frustrated? What keeps you awake at night? When people say that, nothing keeps me awake. What is it that you are most afraid of? I really want to build that deep, deep relationship. It's so different when being an authentic leader versus a transactional leader. And those who are authentic are trusted advisors, and they get promoted to jobs way beyond their wildest dreams because they are in that room to set other people up for success.
Thank you. Is there evidence that actually people who think about others, who are there to serve truly, who are authentic leaders, is there evidence that they actually win a lot more in the long term than those who don't? And the reason I ask you this, okay, is that this is how I feel. Like, for example, every time I worked anywhere, I was always thinking, regardless of how much I was paid, how can I do this faster? How can I do this better? How can I be more productive in the time that I had there? How can I even give in more hours from my own personal time? How can I even buy stuff with my own money just to make the company better, or just to make the process better, or to optimize? But I find most people are not like this at all. Most people don't care at all. And I find that I can't say necessarily that I personally benefit from being this way. I mean, the company did benefit in the sense of, like, increasing the revenue and so on. I can't say that I immediately personally benefited. But I can say that now, because I have this mindset of, like, always helping other leaders to achieve their goals. What I've discovered is this: I've had a lot of people who either, scammed me, or took advantage of me, or took advantage of my introductions and never gave anything back, didn't pay the referral commissions they promised, and all these different things. And then on the other hand, I have other people who are like, even not signing any contract, but just on the basis of a verbal agreement, paid upfront, paid immediately as the commission happened or whatever. They kept their word. And so I do feel like a winner in the long term, even though I can't say that I'm a billionaire right now. And I don't know, maybe I would have been in a different position if I was just thinking, oh, I'll just do my little bit and I'm not going to care about what's happening at work. But the reason I ask you this, okay, is because I read an article a couple of days ago, and you're talking about how actually people who are empathic, people who are very, very sensitive of other people's needs, actually get promoted less, make less money, and kind of thing. So would you say that actually there is evidence to the contrary, that being an authentic leader in the long run does make you more money, does give you more career satisfaction, does lead to much better results than if you were to just be like the hundreds of people that I know that don't care about that at all?
Such a good question. Yes, there are evidence that being an authentic leader gets you to enjoy more of life. Being an authentic leader is tapping into being an emotional leader. It's not emotional in that I'm crying, but having a high EQ. Most people don't care about emotional intelligence and quotients right now, but the movement is going on, right? It's happening. That wave is happening. And being an authentic leader, I have invested in so much money in myself. And I learned this by working with other people who are very successful and have let go of ego and really tapped into their soul and being just you. And being authentic is allowing yourself to be you without a mask. Most of us wear masks at work. And I understand where you come from. I had to learn this the hard way. I haven't been in tribes, 20 years corporate, BPCL, IBM, and where people talked about authenticity, because what did I want to really ask that question? What if we would get upset or mad? So I would always dim my light. I would always conform. But if we conform, we are not authentic. We're not here to serve. And that's, I think maybe I'm getting into this conversation where maybe coming from is that if we are authentic, there is no fear in the room. We want to, okay, I'm promoting this, but I feel right now you don't like it. You're aggressive. It has nothing to do with me. It's all about you. Let me understand, why are you triggered? Let me understand. That is also about being an authentic leader, to hold the room for other people when they are a victim of their emotions. So being an authentic leader has many different angles to that of leading from a place of authenticity and a heart to serve.
Okay, tell me more about leading with emotional intelligence. Can everybody learn how to lead with emotional intelligence, or are people born with it? And if they can learn, tell us, what do they need to do? What kind of aspects of whatever they're doing needs to change?
I love that. First of all, we all humans. We all have emotions, feelings, emotions. We all feel it. But our generation, but across the globe, many of us have been told not to ignore our emotions. Zigzagging in, we can all connect with our emotions and invite the emotions in to elevate our game, right? Because emotional intelligence and being an emotional intelligent leader also means that you are able to tap into your intuition, emotions. Do you listen to your feelings in your body? Do you listen to that deep inner voice that says, not now, not now? Ask this question. Emotional intelligence is that secret to more powerful life, more beautiful life, and also being able in the moment to reset yourself, read the energy in the room, and use that, I would say, in your favor, but to get everybody unstuck from maybe default patterns where they are letting fear dictate their decision rather than actually, right now, I think we should do this, but I'm feeling this within, so I'm not sure whether I'm ready to go for plan A. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
So, because this is so deep, but it's so important. And I just before our conversation actually was landing a big gig where he says right now these top CEOs are craving more insight, how to use emotional intelligence in the way they lead.
Thank you. Tell us about how you or some of your coachees used their emotional intelligence to win contracts or to get a better deal or to simply find a win-win project for the people who you worked with. Give us some case studies of something that has worked, leveraging emotional intelligence.
Yeah. Serving a woman in transition was stuck in what she believed was her path. I was curious about why she hadn't landed a job, because I love my clients, so I can help you get unstuck. In 90 minutes, we redesigned what's next for her. At the same time, playing with her limiting beliefs, playing with her identity, playing with asking bolder questions. What happened in 4 weeks? She not only was invited to an interview that turned out to be the match for her. We prepped almost daily what questions to ask, her fears. She ended up in 8 rounds. She ended up going to the SVP. She landed that job. I helped her read her emotions about salary, all about the emotions, right? The emotional intelligence also to read, I'm not good enough. I'm not a match for this salary. Read what words people are using. She landed that job in less than 6 weeks with a higher pay. Shortly after, we continued to train together. She was promoted, and now she's one of the very few leaders in the organization recognized as the EQ leader. That's how fast it can go when you're really ready to learn where you're sabotaging yourself. Learn to pause. One thing is that you say something, right? Another thing is, what are you really telling yourself? What is the body telling yourself in the moment? That's how you can really use being an emotional intelligent leader, a person, individual, for your benefit as well as helping others succeed. She went in, asked questions nobody else had asked. And she got information from the SVP that not even the hiring manager knew.
Thank you. Tell us more about emotional intelligence. What kind of things would someone need to implement to make a difference to their work relationships or their relationships they have with their team? What exactly do they need to do differently to kind of become an emotionally intelligent leader?
So emotional intelligence is not it is their systems, but it's really about connecting with who you are, understanding who you are right now. Your identity, your personality creates your personal reality. So if you want something, differently, you get to be a different version of you. So it's not implementing as like, okay, now you do step 1, 2, and 3. But what you want to do is to connect with your image, your self-image, how much you love yourself, how much you respect yourself. I had a conversation these days. People don't struggle to set healthy boundaries. They get burned out. They leave their job. Like, what are you tolerating? What are you available for that it doesn't serve where you want to go next? So there's a lot of an inner analysis so that you can have peace within. And when you lead with peace within, when you understand what energy is, when you understand that every word carries frequency, you can then start lead with that insights and call out people we love and say, we need this. We don't want to need this because it creates friction. We get to choose, or we choose to have that. So that's little nudges you can use in your leadership to understand, why do you use those words? What is that trigger all about? Or what does that stress? And then help people to leave words that carry stress, that carries frustration, and lead from a higher self.
Thank you. Tell us how leaders can resolve conflict with emotional intelligence.
That's a good question. The very quick answer is do not go into the conflict, because then you feel the feelings, but say right now, I feel within that this is a conflict and I'm being triggered. You get to own your emotions. You get to own it. Most people, I heard a Yale professor said the other day, 90% of people have never had any emotional training. And someone said, it must be even higher. I think it's high as well. But first off, recognize your emotions. Say you allowing you to be triggered. Green flag, understand why you're being triggered. And then hold the space for people and say, right now, I see you're triggered. What is going on? What most people do is that they jump, I call it, into the water, and then they consume other people's emotions. Just hold the space for people and recognize, right now you're frustrated. Why are you frustrated? Because people are consumed by their own thoughts. That's very easy when you know how to master that conversation, to recognize, so right now there's friction. What is really going on?
Thank you. How can leaders stop communicating from their wounds? What I mean by that is that every person has a story of what's happening based on whatever trauma they had in the past. And let's say, for example, if I'm going to see a person at work that looks like my grandma who used to beat me for 14 years when I was young, I might instantly be triggered to not like this person, regardless of what this person might do or say. And this person, like, they have nothing to do with me. Like, I don't even know this person, but I might instantly not like this person. So how can I'm not sure if I can ignore that, because every time I see this person that looks just like my grandma, I'm triggered. So how can I become an emotionally intelligent leader in this potential conversation I will have with this person that I potentially already disliked, and this person hasn't even said anything, not to mention if they say something I dislike?
I love that question, and it happens so often in my conversation with clients that we have to find out, why are you triggered? And actually deep within, and maybe she reminded me of my mom, or why did he get triggered? Maybe the way that you showed up reminded him of his mom, right? The way to go about it is really to work through your triggers. If you ignore your trigger, if you ignore your wounds, you will never be an emotional intelligent leader. You get to work through your wounds, and when you use it in the smart way, you can use that as a setup for more success, because you allow yourself to be triggered. And when you allow yourself to get triggered, you give power away. And we don't want, as leaders, as moms, as parents, we don't want to give our power away. So we want to really have high emotional hygiene to say, I'm done being triggered. That it can be that easy. I am done being triggered. Why should I get triggered? It's a choice.
Wow. Do you find that applying this technique of emotional intelligence actually works for people that are predisposed to being triggered to certain people just based on what they look?
Blind trigger? I don't understand that question. Say again?
Do you find that this technique of emotional intelligence works even for people that are triggered by people based on what they look, because they look like someone that, let's say, triggered me in the past?
Oh, absolutely. What I think either makes or breaks it, I think I know, is that, are you ready to grow? Are you ready to stay stuck? Yeah, that's why we talk about fixed-minded people, and we have them as leaders as well. Fixed-minded, or are we growth-minded? If we're growth-minded, it is so vulnerable. It's so wonderful to look within and say, why do I allow myself to get triggered? We either get triggered because we want to be right, or fear. And it's so vulnerably I just want to be right. Why do I want to be right? Because I'm afraid that, but it takes courage to be vulnerable. And it's so freeing to be vulnerable. We can all learn.
Thank you. How can someone be an authentic leader when they're actually afraid of people?
We get to go to the root of why you're afraid. And we get to remember that we are the source of our life. We are the driver of our life. So if you're ready to create a better life, have a better life, we want to work through why you're afraid. What are those? Because then you carry the past, and the past becomes the present, and you can never create the future. So we want to heal the trauma that you carry with you, because the body keeps score. And when the body keeps score, we want to be higher than our emotions. We want to be more intelligent than our emotions and our body. But if we allow our body to be our mind, then the body keeps score, and the body runs on emotions, runs on memories. So we want to heal why we are afraid of people.
Thank you. Tell me more about how you personally won using authentic leadership and emotional intelligence. What were some, let's say, three scenarios where you personally won leveraging emotional intelligence and authentic leadership? And I'm talking either for winning a big contract, or for resolving conflict with your team, or something in the workspace.
I love that. The first story or case I want to share is about holding space for other people when it could also be a client. There's so many downloads. Let me just sit with this. The very first time I chose to play full out, being an authentic leader, being there to serve, not being there to be the doer. You get to choose a victim. You get to choose someone you can play with your new skills. And I was in this room with a person who played with his power, I would say, the wrong way. It was not an easy character, but that's why you grow. And I asked this question, what? And I was trembling. I was so nervous. But I asked, what keeps you awake at night? And he was like, he wanted to control her, and he said, nothing. Okay, and then I asked something else. And then he said, no one has ever asked me that question before. And then within I was so proud. And I said, well, then I'm the first one. That's why you stand out, not stand out as shining, but really in that room to serve, also when they are toxic. It can also be with clients. There's other cases where when clients say that this is not working, you're not good enough, then I say, okay, I'm calling out with love. How often have you engaged in group conversations? How often do you really share what matters? That's again holding the space for other people. And sometimes I say, right now, this question feels very uncomfortable for me to ask. But if I don't ask, I do not serve you. So let me ask you these questions. And I ask the question. So even there, I play full out. I recognize my feelings in the moment. But if I would held back, I wouldn't serve.
Thank you. How do you lead with love when the team is not performing and you are incredibly frustrated and triggered by that? Let's say there's poor financial performance, there's poor team performance, the whole thing is just like a big chaos. What can a leader do to lead with love in that scenario and turn the situation around?
Good question. There's a few scenarios that are showing up and pulling in from my clients is that people who are not performing, rather than telling them you are not performing, then it's really about, then we go into soul-led leadership. see the soul behind the title, behind the name, and connect soul to soul and say, I see right now that you're struggling, or you're behind not the numbers. What is really going on? In the first place, people just give you an answer, but never take the first answer as the answer. And listen to the energy, the frequency, and the words that they pick. Right now you're saying this. How true is that? Really connect soul to soul. That is unconditional love, and that's why you meet people at a very different level. And training clients to do that, they build deep relationship and get to understand what is really going on, since they struggle to perform at work.
Thank you. How can a leader cope or make the most of a work situation where they dislike multiple work colleagues that appear to be emotionally intelligent, but actually have their own manipulative agenda to achieve their own goals?
So what is the scenario you want to address here?
So how can a leader cope or manage a situation where they have to work with people they dislike that are manipulative?
Okay, this is very interesting, because if we work with people on the language and the frequency of cope and manage dislike, then we're coming from a level of being judgmental. And if I were going to coach that person, I would say, what is really going on? Because a person who is authentic, who is there to serve, we don't judge people. So why are you being triggered? And oftentimes we see that reminds me of my history teacher, or that reminds me of my bossy mom, or he's actually maybe more successful than me, or he has some skills I don't have. I'd be super curious about that. So we don't want to cope, we don't want to survive or manage, or never dislike. I'm super curious about him having, or her having, that reality, because it's her personality is her personal reality. We get to remember that. So it's the other way around, but that's really where we start, because everything comes within. So if you vibrate on a level, it's interesting, because I had another conversation today. If we vibrate on a frequency where we say, I dislike you, I vibrate on a frequency that you subconsciously pick up. And what happens is you get pushback. So you manifest what you want, what you have sent out. So if you want a better relationship, you better elevate your frequency and your language.
Thank you. So how can a leader perform the best that they can in a situation like this, where they know that the other person is actually trying to manipulate them into doing certain things and not giving anything back? So imagine I have to work with other work colleagues. Imagine someone who is always asking for referrals, is always, asking for introductions, and never giving anything back. So it's very clear that person is just a taker. How can someone make the most of this situation?
Okay, this is really good. Oftentimes, we forget to create agreements, right? So we work on expectations, but expectations don't get us very far. And if you feel that you're manipulated, again, be curious why he manipulates you. But then if that's a person who manipulates, don't just show up from your highest self and see that person for who that person is, that soul. Maybe that soul is struggling, but leave it, don't judge it. And then if you want to, here's a give and take. It doesn't really matter, because if we believe in manifestation, everything will come to you because you deserve it. And if it's not a match for you, you won't get it. So you want to really understand the universal laws, and then focus on achieving your own goals. And if you need to work with people who are fixed-minded or challenging, make agreements. If you need something from that person who manipulates and never gives something, and you need, make agreements, because then it's easier to say, we made this agreement, I haven't got it, rather than saying, blaming that person why I didn't get it. But we oftentimes forget agreements. And there's a really good audiobook, I can't remember, Steve Chandler, called Agreement versus Expectation. And it's a resource I share to all my clients, and we teach that because many leaders lead on expectations versus agreement. And that's also going back to your previous scenario of poor performance. We oftentimes don't agree, we expect.
Thank you. So imagine there is already an agreement, let's say a commission agreement or a certain introduction agreement and so on. Imagine the other person doesn't respect it. How can a leader make the most of that particular situation with emotional intelligence and authentic leadership? How can they? I'm looking for a better word than manage the situation, but I can't.
But it's good. It's navigating, right? We want to navigate that situation. So I would be super curious about what is really going on. Okay, we had this agreement. You didn't deliver as agreed. What is really going on? And they come up with all these excuses. So, okay, it's just not, I can just observe that it's about really training yourself not to be triggered, right? Because then you're giving a power away to that person who manipulates the situation. And I can just see right now that what we agreed is not working out. And if you are the card holder or the head, let's say, it's your choice whether you want to have that person on your team. Again, healthy boundaries, but call out again with love. So what is really going on? That is how I would go about it, and then address it to the senior, to the board, or whoever who was on your team, to say, I think maybe it's time to say goodbye to this person who is no longer a match for where we want to go next, and have an honest conversation.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, in a big corporate, which I have never kind of like worked in a big corporate, but I'm saying like in big corp, I would imagine you don't have such a freedom to do that, to let someone go that you dislike or someone who didn't keep their agreements, because generally you would have to just sort of like accept that they're going to be there. I'm thinking that the only way you could deal with it is actually just make the most of the situation. A lot of times there's hundreds of people like that in your workplace that you may dislike, or that are not performing, or that are, I don't know, they're not keeping their agreements, or they're only there for themselves. So it's not like you're gonna fire an entire department because they don't align with your leading with love policy. So I'm wondering, what would you do? Is it that you would advise the leader to leave themselves and find a more culturally aligned company, or what would you say where this is the case?
Yeah. So I think this leading with love, I felt your smile, but it really is leading with soul-led leadership, right? We don't want to tap into the frequency of disliking, because then we're judging other people. That's not authentic leadership. That's not great leadership. But there are situations, I've been through it myself, and I've been in it myself, and I'm helping clients navigate such situations almost monthly, or about to say weekly. So if we don't have any control, like card holder wise, then it's about making your leader aware of agreements that have been made, and then this is the situation. You get to make people aware of what is really going on. And if it continues, it's always your choice whether you want to serve that company. If you want to be in that team, is that team worthy of having you on the team? We get to really pause and say, how much do you really tolerate, and why do you tolerate that? I mean, there's no one cut here, but it's really about making people aware, the decision makers aware that there is this challenge right now, and I can only do my part, and I do it. And then choose, is this a place for me to work or not?
Thank you. How can you manage your feelings? What I mean by that is that, let's say if you dislike someone, you said it's like a negative frequency and you should reframe it to a love frequency. But can you always do that? And if so, what do you need to do to actually change your language and change your feelings and transform them into a frequency of love and joy and appreciation? And what can you do
I love it. Yeah, we can all do it. It takes practice, but there's this level of frequency. We don't get what we want, we get who we are. If we want a life filled with abundance, with love and happiness, and say, I have a poster out there in my kitchen say, every day is a vacation. I want to learn, be unconditional loving every day, which means I get to no longer judge. I don't want to dislike, because when I dislike, I don't vibrate on the frequency of love, of gratitude. What you want to do, the first step, is to choose who you want to be. Who do you really want to be? Do you want to be the one who judges, who blames, who put people in boxes? Or do you want to just enjoy life? And who is that next version of you? That's quantum jumping. Who is that next version who has and do and speak as you really desire? And when you decide that character traits, your new identity, who is waiting on the other side of the uncomfortable of work, then it's about scanning your feeling, once the body to language of the feelings, then feelings is the language of the body. So scanning the feelings, because when we dislike, we tend to, the heart tend to, I lost the word, but the shoulders get tight, you can feel it in the heart, right? And you can't breathe properly, you're narrative focused. So start scanning your body, start scanning your language, your brain, it's the brain scanning your thoughts, and say, I don't want to vibrate on that lower level of frequency, because I was working with someone yesterday, and the challenge here is that the more we vibrate on lower level of frequency, on stress, depression, we lose life. 10 minutes of irritation, frustration, it takes you more than 10 minutes to get back into alignment. That is a commitment. There's a really good book by Sonia Coquette, talks about intuitive leadership, about your something about the vibe. I can't remember right now. But again, scan your body, scan your brain, your thought patterns, what you believe to be true, and say, I no longer want to be that person. That's how I started.
Thank you. Tell us where entrepreneurs can connect with you and your authentic leadership programs.
I love it. Thank you so much. So I am on LinkedIn, Camilla Calberg, and on YouTube, a lot of videos there. It's Camilla Calberg. On Instagram, it's Camilla Calberg, and my website, Camilla Calberg, with different programs. And if your listeners feel that maybe I could help them out, they can also book a free consultation where they will find the link on the website.
Follow me for more interviews with world's most innovative health change makers to live your healthiest life ever.